All glories to our Guru Varga. So today is Gadadhara Pndit's avirbhava. So we'll sing in praise of Sri Radhika. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dahite. 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 Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Kahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Kahite. Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Hari Nishkuta Brinda Vipineshe Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Hari Nishkuta Brinda Vipineshe O Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Rishabhanudari Navashashileke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake Rishabhanudari Navashashileke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake O Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite 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 Karanam Karumayi Karanam Barite Sanaka Sanatana Bhavanita Charite Karanam Karumayi Karanam Barite Sanaka Sanatana Bhavanita Charite O Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite O Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Madhav Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Jaya Shri Radhe Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Ramo Ramo Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Ramo Ramo Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Ramo Ramo Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Ramo Ramo Hare Hare O Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan, Jaya Gaura Hari. O Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Oh Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhavga Giridhari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Shri Vrishabhananandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Satchinandana Gaurahari Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaurikishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Varantaracharya Ki Jai. Jai Rasik Siromani Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shibata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai. Jai Swarab Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsada Ki Jai. Namacharya Shilharadas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sikahol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Shri Gauda Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gautramdvip Madhyadvip Koladvip Ritujip Janadvip Motandvip Rudradvip Atmaka Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dwarasavad Matmika Shri Braja Mandal Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kun, Shama Kun, Ganga Jamuna Devi, Bhakti Devi, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Jai Shrimati Vrinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shrimati Yogamaya Purnamasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai. Ketra Mandal Ki Jai. Sarva Vigna Vinasakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Charidham Ki Jai. Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai. Charya Ki Jai. Akaramat Raj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Keshav Ji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Shri Gadadhara Pndit avirbhava Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Angagyan Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Shwapadantikam Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahaja Virupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavila Sarupe, Anapita Chirim Chirat Kuranavartino Kalo, Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam, Hari Purata Sundaratu Tikatamba Satipita Sada Hridare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Prabhajantam Anapetyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Mayatayo Taravo Vinirustam Sarvabhutam Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripa Tvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanarvindam Bhajami Radham Aravindanetram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Tomamasti Gatina Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Naimam Charnantikam Swabhakti Yogalasanam Sada Braje Viharanam Hari Priya Ganagaram Sachi Suta Priyeshwaram Sarada Krishna Sevanam Prakashakam Mahashayam Bhajamyaham Gadadharam Supanditam Gurum Prabhum Bhajamyaham Gadadharam Supanditam Gurum Prabhum. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarsara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarsara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And I'm offering the same again to our most beloved Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namane Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Arupa Nuga Varayate. And today I'm offering my Dandavat pranams to our most beloved Sri Gadadhara Pndit Prabhu and to all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Varga and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. My Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhavevicha patitanam papnivyo Vaishnavena Manoha. So today we'll say something about Gadadhara Pandit and we'll recap, hopefully, something of the 16th chapter, which we've been studying for the last week. So Gadadhara Pandit, as we know, is the total embodiment of Sri Radhika. She's not partially manifesting after having apparently some devotees quote that Radhika, she gives her bhav and kanti to Mahaprabhu. Therefore, she is something deficient in herself, in her manifestation as Gadadhar Pandit. This is totally, totally fallacious. This is an apasidantic conception. It's atheistic, actually. It came originally, I remember many years ago, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, he was quoting that Sri Gadadhar Pandit had a mood similar to Rukmini Devi. Rukmini Devi has a mood of Dakshin Bhav, submissive behavior towards Dwarkadish Krishna. This submissive behavior also, of course, is the hallmark of Chandravali. Chandravali has this tadatmic mood that always being submissive, Dakshin Bhav to Krishna. So in the role of Gadadhar Pandit, Sri Radhika in that mode, she takes that submissive mood to Sachinandan Gaurahari. She's always in that Dakshin Bhav. So Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj was comparing that mood to the same mood as Rukmini Devi. He was not saying that she was like Rukmini Devi. He was not saying that at all. Radhika's natural mood with Krishna in Vrindavan is Bhaumya Bhav, is contrary. Krishna loves this mood. Radhika has a mood that, this mamata mood, that she's thinking that Krishna is mine. And Krishna becomes very pleased when Radhika, she will scold him, she will ignore him, etc. She will go into high man. Chandravali can never do that because Chandravali's intrinsic mood is this Dakshin Bhav of submissiveness. That's the distinction between the two. So Radhika's jewel, this ornament of Bhaumya Bhav, Gadadhar Pandit keeps submerged, keeps hidden completely in his whole manifestation of this personality of Gadadhar. He never brings it out. Why should he bring it out? He's not there acting out the role of Radhika in this pastime of being Gadadhar. He's there to accompany Mahaprabhu and to support his desire to taste her bhav and kanti. He wants Mahaprabhu, his desire is to taste the prem that Sri Radhika experiences for him, which is much higher than the prem that Krishna has for Radhika. We've discussed many times that Krishna, he is in a he has the bhav of Mahabhav, but Radhika, she has two higher stages, this Ruda and Adiruda. And Krishna, he wants to taste the bliss of that Adiruda Mahabhav. This is why he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wants to experience that intense Vipralamba Bhav that Sri Radhika experiences. So it's as if we can imagine for a moment, a drama is going on. There's a stage and there's a drama. And say somebody is enacting out the pastime of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, for example, or anybody, but say Prabhupada. And Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is sitting in the audience and he's watching the drama with himself there. Is there going to be any deficiency in Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's moods or qualities by watching somebody else enact out his own qualities on the stage? No, none. So we can't say that Radhika is going to be deficient in anything because it's practically blasphemous. It's indicative of someone who doesn't know Tattva Siddhanta to say like this. Really and truly. When we think that Sri Radhika is Swarup Shakti, she is Swarup Shakti, the embodiment of all Shakti manifesting from Shaktiman Sri Krishna. All Shakti and in existence is coming from Sri Radhika. And to consider that she should become deficient in her pastime, his pastime as Gadadhar Pandit, is completely absurd. So I'm having to say this a couple of times because this philosophy seems to have got around through this misinterpretation of what our most beloved Bhakti Rakshakshrita Maharaj was saying, that Radhika has the mood of Rukmini Devi. Yes, she does have that Dakshin mood. I've just explained that submissive mood of Rukmini Devi is what Gadadhar demonstrates in his whole Leela with Mahaprabhu. If Gadadhar was demonstrating any smell even of this Bhaumya Bhav, then it would be accused that perhaps there is some conjugal relationship between Mahaprabhu and Gadadhar. This is called Gauranagari. This is completely Sahajya, aposidantic ideas. The only moods in Mahaprabhu's pastimes are Dasya Bhav. All of Mahaprabhu's parikas, they're all in a mood of Dasya Bhav towards Mahaprabhu. All of them. There's no Madhurya, there's no Shringara Ras. Mahaprabhu is tasting that Shringara Ras through his meditation on Radha and Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. This is what his meditation is. We've discussed before that the Astakalya Leela that Mahaprabhu um, experiences is when he's meditating on the Nishanta Leela, for example. He's meditating on the Madhyana Leela. This is his Astakalya Leela. And when he's going into the extremity of tasting that Vipralamba Bhav, as he does in Jagannath Puri, then he's tasting the separation mood from Sri Krishna. He becomes like Sri Radhika, and he's tasting that tremendous, heartbreaking separation that Radhika was experiencing. When Krishna wanted to experience these moods, he approached Sri Radhika and begged her bhav and complexion. because they can't be stolen. Sometimes people like to say he stole her barb, and he can't. You can't steal someone's mood. You have to be bestowed their mood. They have to give their mood. So Radhika is prepared to give her mood to Krishna, but she's saying simultaneously that in a woman's body, they're able to tolerate more than a man's body. A woman actually has a propensity to tolerate more than a man. A woman has a child, for example. A man couldn't conceive of that kind of like horror. It's just horrific for a man to consider. But the women, they all do like that. And they have the ability, somehow the built-in adhikar, to be able to tolerate more pain, etc., than men can. This is like you can look clinically and see what I'm saying is correct. So Radhika is saying like this to um, Krishna, who wants to taste his bhava. She's saying, you won't be able to tolerate my moods. And he doesn't tolerate the moods. His body doesn't tolerate them. We see in Jagannath Puri when he's experiencing those highest stages in the Gambhira and he breaks out of the Gambhira. He doesn't break through the locked doors. How does he get out of those locked doors, etc.? Then they find him in the cowshed, in the Singadwaha, um, by the Singadwaha gate in the Goshala, and his head is just is turned sideways. His whole body has become like a pumpkin or like a tortoise. All his limbs are come into his body, and his body's like swollen. He's salivating. His body can't tolerate the extremity of the height of the bhav that he's experiencing. And this was exactly what Sri Radhika was saying, that you won't be able to tolerate it. And like when he falls into the sea, and then all his limbs become elongated, etc. The bones, they become disjointed. So his body is not able to tolerate that bhav. But all the time, Gadadhar is there to pacify Mahaprabhu, especially in Nadia, in Navadvip, when Mahaprabhu first returned from Gaya and had taken initiation from Ishwarapuri. And these ecstatic, his Radha Bhav began to be woken up at that time. And at that time, he was exhibiting states of madness. And all the devotees were offering all kinds of solutions to it, etc. Mother Sachi was really concerned. And then Srivas Thakur came into the courtyard and was congratulating Mahaprabhu on having such a high state. He understood immediately these are high states of bhavs that are moving around in your body now, and you're exhibiting symptoms like a madman. And this is absolutely wonderful. This is your high state of devotion. And Mahaprabhu embraces Srivas Thakur and said, if you hadn't told me this, I would have jumped in the Ganga. I would have thought I was going mad, but you've confirmed that something very wonderful is manifesting in my body at this time. So these moods were coming, and when he was in these high states, Gadadhar would be able to pacify Mahaprabhu at those times. And Mother Sachi, she noticed this and she begged Gadadhar at that time to always remain with Nimai, to always stay with him wherever he goes, always be. And Gadadhar, he was originally took his birth in Bangladesh, and then he came later on as a young boy to Navadvip, and then he resided close by Mahaprabhu. And there's a very beautiful pastime where he takes initiation from Pundarik Vidyanidhi, when he considers that Pundarik Vidyanidhi is somewhat of a sense enjoyer. Mukunda has taken him there to see this great devotee. And Gadadhar Pandit is thinking, oh, he's like a sense enjoyer. But then Mukunda, he sings that beautiful verse, Aho Bakayam Stanakala Kutam, Jikhamsi Apaye Rapi Sattvi, Labhe Gatim Datri Uchitam Datoyam, Kam Va Dayalam Sharanam Brajema. This beautiful verse that Putana was given the body of a nursemaid in Golok, even though she came to poison Krishna. This is the compassionate verse of the Bhagavatam. It's the most compassionate verse. And when Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he heard this verse, he just broke all the fancy paraphernalia around him, the hookah, the fans, the spittoons, the mirrors, and everything, tore at his oiled hair, scratched off his silk cloth and everything. And for 6 or 7 hours, he was just raging in a very high bar, just from this one verse that Mukunda has so sweetly sung. And when Gadadhar witnessed this, he saw the height of his prem. And at that time, he became really repentant that he'd committed some offense in his mind. And he begs Pundarik Vidyanidhi for initiation. And of course, we know Pundarik Vidyanidhi in Krishna Lila is Rishabhanu Maharaj. So he's taking initiation from his father, so to speak, in Krishna Lila. And Mahaprabhu sanctioned that initiation. He was very happy for that. And so Gadadhar, he was requested by Mahaprabhu to fulfill 3 directives. First of all, he should worship the deity of Gopinath. It's called Tota Gopinath. It's very, very beautiful deity. When they eventually went to Jagannath Puri, and Gadadhar is always in a mood of separation from Krishna, but Mahaprabhu is taking the role of Sri Radhika. That role manifested strongly, fully at the Godavari. At the Godavari, when he meets Rai Ramananda. Rai Ramananda in Krishna Lila, of course, is Vishaka Saki. So that Saki Bhav is transferred from Ramananda Rai into the heart of Mahaprabhu and ignites the potential mood of Saki Bhav in Mahaprabhu so that he can fully taste the Bhav of Sri Radhika. And then he goes to Puri, and Ramananda Rai is there also. But Gadadhar is always feeling separation from Krishna. So one day, Mahaprabhu is with Gadadhar on Chatak Parvat, a very beautiful sand dune there in Jagannath Puri. And he just starts moving the sand away a little bit, and then a top knot reveals itself, and then more and more. And then the beautiful form, large form, 6-foot form, more than 6 foot, beautiful deity form of Gopinath is manifested. And all the devotees come and they pull this deity out of the sand. And at the same time, they pull the 2 deities of Lalita Saki and Radharani from the sand at the same time. So these 3 black deities are in the Tota Gopinath temple today. So Mahaprabhu is requesting that Gadadhar, he accept this gift from his heart. He's saying to Gadadhar, I want to give you my heart. And then this pastime happens. Then he reveals the Gopinath deity. So Gadadhar is worshipping this deity. He takes Ketra Sannyas to remain with that deity for the rest of his life. So Mahaprabhu, one of the injunctions is to always serve that deity. That's the first. And the second is to teach and read the Srimad Bhagavatam daily, to be like the Acharya of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we know in the past times in Jagannath Puri that daily Mahaprabhu would come from the Gambhira and he would come to the beautiful garden, the Tota garden of Gopinath, and he would listen to Gadadhar Pandit recite the beautiful verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. And together they would relish all of the pastimes of the Bhagavatam. And it's described specifically in Chaitanya Bhagavat how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is describing how the Dhruva Charita, etc., and Prahlad Charita, Mahaprabhu would relish these with great happiness. When Gadadhar is reading these pastimes, this is coming from the heart of Sri Radhika. She's sharing this mood. And my Gurudev always explains that who can speak more eloquently on the Bhagavatam than Sri Radhika herself, more so than Shukadev, more so than Vyasadev. He has the insight into the real purports of the Bhagavatam. So Mahaprabhu and Gadadhar daily would relish these sweet pastimes in the garden of Gopinath. And then at night, Mahaprabhu would return to the Gambhira, and in the company of Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar, he would relish the beautiful verses and the different geets that he'd heard during the day. with Gadadhar. But Gadadhar could never be there at the same time. So we have to fully appreciate why wasn't Gadadhar there, because Gadadhar is Radharani. Mahaprabhu, his purpose for his descent is to enter into that mood of Radharani. So if Radharani is sitting in front of him, it's not possible for him to actually enter her mood because she's right there. Whereas if Lalita and Vishaka, Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar, if they are there, who are Radharani's dear most friends, they can encourage that mood of Radhika to blossom out of the heart of Sachinandan Gaurahari. So this is the dynamic that daily he would go to hear the Bhagavatam from Gadadhar, then return to the Gambhira and relish the verses that he'd heard in the company of Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar. But um, Gadadhar Pandit could never be there. My Gurudev also describes that another reason for him not being there, Gadadhar not being with Mahaprabhu in his most confidential meditational moods, is he gives an example that in a village there's a young bride. She's just married and she's only been married 6 months. And then her husband dies. He dies in an accident. And the whole village comes to commiserate with her, comes to support her, except one lady. One lady doesn't come. One lady who's also just lost her husband. She can't come and console because she knows the pain of losing the husband. She has no words to console her friend because the pain is so raw in her own heart. She can't come. So this one person is like Gadadhar. Gadadhar knows the pain of the separation that Mahaprabhu is going to endure in tasting that Vipralamba bhav. My Gurudev also describes that when Mahaprabhu goes to Puri, that he practically never meets Krishna. There's only maybe one or two descriptions of when he actually meets Krishna in his meditation. That one in the Jagannath Vallabha gardens, when it's beautiful. Krishnadas Kaviraj describes there's a fragrance of Krishna in the air. Krishna has just been there. But 99% of the time, Mahaprabhu is tasting this Vipralamba bhav. That's the mood in Jagannath Puri. So Gadadhar is across in the Totagopana. And when you see the geography of Jagannath Puri, the Gambhira is near the Jagannath temple. And then it's as if there's a great sand dune between the Totagopanath Mandir and the Gambhira. And my Gurudev describes this as like a curtain on a stage. Radharani is on one side and Mahaprabhu is on the other. So this is how they are spending the last 18 years of Mahaprabhu's life in this way. So, but we must completely dispel this idea that anything is detracted from Radhika's self, from Gadadhar's self. She's not deficient in any way whatsoever. And I hope it's very clear what I'm saying, that Gadadhar is there fully Radharani entirely. And to confirm this, I want to read the translation of this Gadadhar Astakam. I sang this Gadadhar Astakam just now, the first verse, but the translation absolutely confirms. This is written by Swarup Damodar. Swarup Damodar is that supreme Siddhantic, Tattvic authority in all of Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Anyone who wanted to show any writings or anything like this, they all had to pass through Swarup Damodar. He would check carefully for the rasabas or Siddhantic correction, etc. So there's no higher authority than Swarup Damodar, and he has written this Gadadhar Astakam. So all the tattvas about Gadadhar are within this Astakam. So I'll see how much time we have. We can read this. So I already sang the first verse. Swabhakti yoga lasanam sada vraje viharanam. So it goes in the same meter as Radha Kripa Kataksha. And if you go to my website, you can see the whole Astakam on the very first page is being sung there, and the translation is there. This is a good day to actually hear this whole translation and the Astakam itself. It's very beautiful. So I'm just going to read the translation here. That personality who eternally wanders in Braj while playfully performing her own loving devotional service, in other words, Sri Radha, who is non-different from Sri Gadadhara Prabhu, is the chief among the beloved damsels of Sri Hari. So right in the first sentence, he's giving us who is Gadadhar. Fully Sri Radhika. There's no difference between Radhika and Gadadhar Pandit. There's no limitation of Radhika because she has given her Bhav and Kanti. Don't begin to think like this. It means you don't really understand the nature of Swarup Shakti or have full belief in our acharyas, etc. These are their words. As the foremost of the beloved associates of the son of Sachi, Gadadhar was one of the foremost of the associates of Nimai. He reveals the process of service to Sri Radha and Krishna. He's revealing this service. I worship that magnanimous, exalted Pandit and Guru, Sri Gadadhar Prabhu. So I've already said two of the directives that Mahaprabhu gave to Gadadhar. The third one was to be Guru, to initiate all those who came to Mahaprabhu and wanted initiation. Mahaprabhu is not initiating himself. Perhaps he initiated Lokanath Goswami in 1486, right at the very beginning. Rather, not 1510, when Mahaprabhu is about to come to Jagannath Puri. But at that time, he initiated Burgabo Goswami. He initiated Achyutananda, the son of Advaita Acharya. He initiates Kavi Kanpur. He initiates Madhu Pandit. There are so many elevated personalities that take shelter of Gadadhar for initiation. That's one of the directives that Mahaprabhu requested him. There's three: to look after Tota Gopinath, to teach the Srimad Bhagavatam, and to give initiation. These three. In the second verse, it's saying, he is fully conversant with the process of manifesting the conceptions and moods of ever-fresh Ujjvala Madhurya and other rasas. He is fully absorbed in sporting in the waves of rasa within the ocean of astonishingly variegated loving devotion to Sri Gaura Hari. Every atom of Sri Radhika's body, of her nature, of her mood, is just to please and serve Sri Krishna. So in this particular incarnation, she's doing nothing less than that, serving with all of her ability to please Sri Krishna and to facilitate him tasting her moods. She appreciates this is what Krishna wants to do. This is his desire. So I must support that desire. But don't think she becomes deficient herself in her own identity by doing that. That is wrong. He is the revealer of the foremost path of Rag Bhakti and the bestower of residence in Sri Hari's holy abodes, headed by Braj. I worship that exalted Pandit and Guru Sri Gadadhar Pandit. So she will give us entrance, just as Nityananda Prabhu will also give us entrance. He is venerated and worshipped by the multitude of devotees who have taken exclusive shelter of the lotus feet of the son of Mother Sachi. Sri Krishna, who is splendidly situated within Sri Gaurahari's lotus heart, which is saturated with bhav. So Mahaprabhu is non-different to Krishna. There's no difference at all. He's covered with the bhav and kanti of Sri Radhika, but his heart is Krishna, Sham. When Ramananda Rai sees that Mahaprakash vision in the Godavari, he sees Krishna, blackish, but then he sees this effulgent golden personality who has covered that bhav. So always know that Gaurahari is directly Krishna, but with the bhav and kanti of Sri. He never loses his intrinsic identity. And this is what it's saying here. That, where was I? I just read it. Yes, Sri Krishna, who is splendidly situated within Sri Gaurahari's lotus heart. Krishna is in his heart, which is saturated with bhav, is none, is alone, his dear most beloved and very life. That's Radhika. Radhika is alone, his bhakti. This is the bhakti of Krishna. Sri Gadadhar Prabhu has bestowed upon Mukunda, Krishna, in his golden form as Sri Gaurahari, the nature of the moods of his own heart. In other words, Sri Radha's loving devotion to Sri Krishna has been bestowed in the heart of Krishna directly. We see, for example, when we go to Radha Kund and Shama Kund, where is Mahaprabhu sitting? He's sitting looking at Sham Kund. He's sitting in a mood of Radhika and he's meditating on Sham Sundar. Sham Sundar Krishna is his Ishtadev. This is who he is searching for in the manifestation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he comes into the temple of Jagannath Puri, he doesn't see Baladev, Subhadra, and Jagannath. My Gurudev describes he only sees Brajendranandan Sham Sundar in the form of Jagannath. He's only seeing this form of Brajendranandan Sham Sundar. And my Gurudev used to tell all his Western disciples very happily that you're not allowed to go into the Jagannath temple, but actually the very heart of Jagannath is in the Gopinath temple, in the Tota Gopinath temple. When you come to the Tota Gopinath temple, this is the heart of Lord Jagannath. And this is the very deity that Mahaprabhu went into at the time of his departure. And Gadadhar also goes into that deity at the time of his departure. His sole purpose is to manifest the nature of service to Sri Yugal Kishore. This is the mood of Gadadhar Pandit. This astakam is very beautiful meditation today to get the full appreciation of who is Gadadhar. If you read this yourselves, you can take off the website there or from anywhere and just immerse yourselves in the uh, translation and the meanings of this beautiful astakam. And then you will get the form of Gadadhar. His sole purpose is to manifest the nature of service to Yugal Kishore within the secret forest groves. He always bestows rati for the moods and services of Srimati Radhika's Sakhis. He is the original form of the foremost Madhurya Ras, the original from Sri Radhika's form, the Kaya Vyuha. All of the other Astasakis are manifesting. All the gopis are originating from Sri Radhika to please, to serve Sri Krishna. Everything is originating from Sri Radhika. So this is Gadadhar. As the best of perfected gurus, he always provides the protection of his lotus feet, of those who take his shelter. I worship that exalted Pandit and Guru Sri Gadadhar Pandit. So I want to spend a little bit time with Jaiva Dharma so you can read the last verses yourselves, but they're just opening up more and more, heavy with sweetness and beauty about Gadadhar's identity, his real identity as Sri Radhika, fully that Vrindavan Gopi who is sporting with Krishna. So this is the mood that Swarup Damodar is giving us through this astakam. So I'd encourage you all to read this today and take shelter of it. So, yeah.
Is there a fault in when devotees worship Gaurahari as Krishna and not as Radharani?
Yes, there is a
There is
fault.
a fault.
If we try to worship Krishna externally as Krishna, then we are denying Mahaprabhu his desire to stay in a covered form. For example, I've explained this before. If you put a peacock feather on Mahaprabhu, if you put a tulsi garland on Mahaprabhu, this is not service to Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu's desire was to remain as a servant of Krishna. That's who he is. He's a servant of Krishna because he has the mood of Radhika. So we want to, like Gadadhar, enhance Krishna's mood, to serve Krishna in that way, to facilitate his identity as a devotee. Mahaprabhu comes as his own devotee. But if we proclaim him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you break that conception completely. It's totally incorrect to do. Completely incorrect. It's horrible to do it.
So many devotees worship like this.
You
So
can worship in your heart. Internally, you can worship. Of course, he's always Krishna. I've just explained. He's always Krishna. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we don't decorate him externally like that. So there's an external worship that is like archan, and then there is bhajan. In our bhajan, we know who he is. You understand?
I understand. I'm just not getting. So what is the fault exactly?
If you
If
try to
devotees
decorate
decorate
him,
him
you're
with
going to
a
cover
peacock?
him. You're going to cover him. For example, if you put a peacock feather, Tulsi garland, and put Tulsi on his feet, this is covering his identity. You're not really worshipping Mahaprabhu.
Oh,
You're worshipping the Krishna form within Mahaprabhu. That's not who Krishna manifests. When anyone would call Mahaprabhu Krishna, he would block his ears and run away. He didn't want that. So why should we impose that on him now? So, Gadadhar Pndit ki jai. There are so many things about Gadadhar Pndit, but also we have our scheduled Jaiva Dharma study, which I wanted to touch on something today. But the meditation and pastimes of Gadadhar are fathomless, so beautiful. And certainly visiting the Tota Gopinath temple and appreciating the atmosphere and mood where Gadadhar spent his 11 months after Mahaprabhu's departure. Gadadhar leaves, and he leaves by going into that deity of Gopinath. So this is how Gadadhar leaves this world. But today is his appearance day, and we're celebrating it most joyfully and remembering all the different pastimes of Gadadhar Pandit. So Gadadhar Pandit ki jai, Gadadhar Pndit avirbhava ki jai. If you have further questions about this, I'd be happy to take it up. You know how to contact me on my WhatsApp or whatever, or on the thread, or you can send them to Rasamandri, etc. She will pass them over. So we won't do the Falshruti today because time is limited. If we want to actually recap a little bit of this 16th chapter before we go into the 17th chapter. So, Falshruti ki jai. All the glories of Jaiva Dharma we're saying every single day, and we'll remember them today. But we'll come straight to page 357, which is the beginning of the 16th chapter. And this is an experiment for you all. I'm going to read the translation of this Dasmula 6. Now, see how much you appreciate now, after having studied the chapter, how you can appreciate every line of this Dasmula. When we first read this Dasmula verse and translation, we probably didn't understand so much of it, but it's a good opportunity to see how much clarity we now have from having studied the 16th chapter. By his original nature, the jiva is an eternal servant of Krishna. So this is the line that resonates through the whole chapter, that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and the jiva is anuchit, an infinitesimal spark serving that Supreme Lord. And when we forget that, then all this trouble, our involvement with the Mayic energy, etc., results. And that's what this chapter is about. Those who turn away from their nature, their original nature. So the original nature of the jiva is an eternal servant of Krishna. We open out with this. His Swarup Dham is service to Krishna. If we made that decision, because what's described in this chapter is about the Tatashta Shakti, the Tatashta Svabhav. This is what's Brajana's questions to Babaji. And this Tatastha Svabhav is the place where the junction between the two worlds of consciousness. It's not a geographical location, as we said before. And we make a decision from that junction to look towards the material energy with attraction. We become attracted to that material energy. So more jivas actually become attracted to the spiritual world, but those wayward conditioned jivas, they become attracted to this mayic illusory world. So this is the um, understanding that Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives us this straight off. What is the nature of this swabhav tatashta region? Where is it coming from? And I said before, and it's very important to appreciate that that decision we make to turn towards Maya is not a historic decision. It's happening millions of times or thousands of times in the day, every single day, because we're built of this marginal energy. This is what the chapter describes. We're built of this marginal potency, this tatashta shakti. We're made of it. And we make this decision to turn away from Krishna all the time. Just consider today, before you take rest tonight, how many times will you actually turn away from Krishna? So as soon as we turn away, it's also described in here very clearly. What is the equation? You remember what the equation was? That it's called vimukh. We become indifferent to Krishna. And that indifference is considered an offense, because Krishna is the origin of all beauty in existence. And we have turned away from that beautiful divine master of transcendence. We've turned away from that. That is considered an offense.
But we never really turned towards him. We never really saw him being Tatashta.
No, we did. We did. We had an opportunity. There was an atmosphere of devotion.
Influence.
There was an influence, yes, in the atmosphere. It was to have a choice, you have to have two. You can't have just one. So there was an influence, there was an atmosphere at that moment and that moment of decision was, we can say, in the Brahmajyoti, or we can say specifically it was from the Chit Shakti that we decided that. And then from that place, we've described how then you enter the body of Mahavishnu. Once you enter the body of Mahavishnu, then you are destined to come into this material world. You don't make any decisions in the body of Mahavishnu. You've already made your decision. And then you get into the seed, etc., is impregnated. We discussed this specifically yesterday. So there is a choice, and to have a choice, there has to be two. So there's an influence. There's perhaps Vedic hymns. There's perhaps a whole sound vibration. It's achintya to us at this point. It's not described exactly what is the nature, but it is described that we made because we have independence. This is what is brought out very much in this chapter. This jewel of independence is there in the jiva. And it's in this independence that's getting us into this problem. And Brajanath, one of his questions was, wouldn't it be better not to have this independence? And Babaji explains all these types. There's no chapter in the world that I've ever read like this 16th chapter. The depth and examination of our situation goes so deeply in this 16th chapter. This is basically what the 16th chapter is about. It's about Jiva Tattva, the Jivas who are bound in the material world. So let me finish this Das Mula. Bhagavan's bewildering energy, Maya, punishes those Jivas who are bereft of that Swarup Dharma. They've given up that natural inclination to serve the origin of all that is. They've given up that with their own independence, they've chosen. And what did I describe? This equation, this vimukh, we turn away, and the very second we turn away, if it was a trillion years ago or if it was just 5 minutes ago, the built-in result of that turning away is that immediately, because the Jivatma is full of bliss by nature, he's full of bliss. It's his nature to be absolutely blissful. That's our nature. So as soon as we're not getting the nature of prem seva, service to Krishna, we have to look for bliss and pleasure in the material world. It's our nature. We're hungry for pleasure. We do all these activities that create karma, etc., simply to seek pleasure in the Mayic world. This clocks up this karmic weight that we have to carry and purge ourselves of. So this um, decision making automatically comes in the heart when we turn away, this vimuk. And then it's described that the material desires naturally spring in the heart of the jiva as a consequence of turning away. And then what is the result of that? What does that equal if you're looking like an equation? Like vimuk, material desires equals suffering. So whose fault is it? This is brought out very strongly. Rajanath asks all these questions, and I've commented all the way through. He's questioning it as if he's the victim, as if poor me. This shouldn't have happened to wonderful me, that I should be suffering in such a way. I am a pure, blissful, spiritual soul by nature. Why am I put into such a torturous, suffering condition? And when I accept that responsibility, at that time I can begin to relieve myself of my suffering condition. But until I accept responsibility fully, across the board, completely, I can't escape it. It's like I've got the keys in my hand, and until I realize I've got the keys to unlock this prison house door, then I can never get out. And those keys are in the form of pure devotional service. This is the thread, this is the current of connection. This is how we will reach the Lord out of this suffering condition. Bhaktyamam abhijananti yavan yaschasmi tatvataha. That we cannot come to Krishna without this devotional service. That is our nature. It's our nature. It's saying in the very first line here, by his original nature, the jiva is an eternal servant of Krishna. We've forgotten that nature. We've rebelled against that nature. We don't want to be anyone's eternal servant because of my independence. And that's what's caused this Mayic entanglement. And that's what's perpetuating the Mayic entanglement. It's all basic ABC. But the actual application, that's a whole nother that's a whole nother consideration, depending on our adhikar, our sanskar, sukritis, etc. That will depend how we actually regenerate this consciousness of being an eternal servant of Krishna. So I'm going to finish this at least today. These jivas are diverted from Krishna and are concerned with their own happiness. Isn't it wonderful? They're trying to achieve happiness, and yet they're suffering like crazy. What could be happy about trudging to work every day, perhaps doing something that you don't really want to do? You're with a group of people that you perhaps don't want to be with. Perhaps you have to go through so much traffic to get there, and all this in the pursuit of happiness. Look at the time factor within 8 hours of working. Perhaps it might be 1 hour each end traveling even, which is horrendous in anyone's country. So how can that be happy? It's so much this illusory energy has just completely captured us that we're frantic to try to exploit this material energy because I'm not getting the spiritual potency. The only way to get this spiritual connection is to associate with sadhus. And this is what's going to be described in the 17th chapter. In the 17th chapter, that's the principle. The principle is to associate with the pure sadhus. They are the only ones that will give us the key out of this predicament. Nothing else. Nothing else that we do perform can actually get us away from here. Only one who is already out. Just like if you're in a well, how will you get out? You have to wait for someone to throw a rope. Someone has to actually come and help you. And the throwing the rope is the beginning of it. But then the person in the bottom of the well has to get hold of the rope. They have to make an effort also to get out. So it's two. It's kripa and chesta. It's the mercy of the sadhu, and it's my own effort too. Both have to be there. We have to be responsible about this. It's not going to happen just by magic. We're lazy. We don't want to do the whole process. We want to short circuit it. The laziness is caused by our interaction with this Mayic energy. It's smashed so much of our energetic brain cells, so to speak. It's reduced us to very weak, conditioned souls where we don't even have the energy to actually serve the Lord. We just want to watch some video or have something done for us. Our mind is smashed by this entertainment industry, fully broken. I'm going to finish this today. We're already over time. It's a big question.
Can it also be said by the influence of material association?
Absolutely. Everyone else is
yeah.
thinking, and I've said many times, 3 million drunks are not necessarily right. Why do we believe in the general populace? The general populace says, work hard, make your money, build your nice brick house, make a nice fence around it. Then you will be happy. This is what I got from my family. This is what they tried to force me into. And I rebelled as a kid, as many of us must have done, to escape that ghastly material predicament. I was never going to submit to that. Not ever. Not even for a day. Okay. She binds them in the ropes of the three modes of material nature. We discussed that at the end. These three ropes, the gold, the silver, and the iron shackles. Sattva, Raja, and Tama covers their Swarup with gross and subtle bodies. We went into great detail yesterday about the material elements, etc., and the Linga Sarira, the Stula Sarira, the subtle body and the gross body. We went into great detail right at the end then. Throws them into a miserable bondage of karma. We create our own karma. Karma is manifesting from my material desires. And Krishna is the fulfiller of the results of that karma. We discussed that yesterday also. All of this is in the 16th chapter, what I'm talking about. I'm trying to make it very capsulated because we're actually over time already. But I'm sure all of you are familiar with the whole picture by now. But just to recap it in this way, just diving into particular points of the chapter, just to reinforce the hypnosis. Do you like to be fooled? Is it good to be fooled in life? For example, just in the material world, we've been fooled to think this is a round planet. It's not. When you read the fifth canto, it's very, very clear. It's a flat Earth system. It's Jambadweep. It's not round. But we've all been hypnotized. You talk to any pilot, does he calculate the curvature of the Earth when he's flying from, say, America across to India? Is there a calculation where the curvature of the Earth is built into his direction? No. When you're building a road, engineers, when they build roads, etc., when they build railway tracks, is there a calculation? It's described that there would have to be every mile an 8-inch difference, dip, if there's a curvature. It has to. So ask any engineer there. They will all tell you, actually, my brother, the Earth is flat. This is an example of how the material governments, etc., can fool. And Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada really pulled the veil off our eyes about this from the very beginning. He was revealing so many things that were just hoax, hoax, hoax after hoax, because we've been fooled. And ultimately, we're fooled by the idea that happiness can be found in the Mayic engagements. That's the ultimate illusion. So it's all connected. Once we lose the lower illusionments, so to speak, about the earth, etc., then we can perhaps appreciate the higher illusionments that I'm in. I'm illusioned to think I'm this body all the time. This identity is me, when actually I'm pure spirit soul. I like to think I'm this body because it makes me feel important. And I've said many times this beautiful quote of Bhakti Rakshak Sri Maharaj, the reason why we have a false ego is to shield us from the horror of my absolute insignificance. If we realize the tiny size of all of us, not just some of us, not some are bright and some are small. It's not like this guru is huge and everyone else is small. We're all tiny atomic sparks. And we all have a capacity to serve and love Krishna in our own way. There's no distinction ultimately, and yet we judge all the time. This is all part of the material hypnosis that we're enduring. You just have to reveal it, pull the veils back and see what's going on. Covers the Swarup with gross and subtle bodies, throws them into miserable condition of karma, then repeatedly causing them to experience happiness and distress in heaven and hell. This is not just taking about this one particular birth, Brahman Konya Bhagavan Jiva. Guru Krishna Prasad Hoy Boy Bhakti Lata Bij. That we're going up and down constantly into Swagaloka, Naraloka, Swagaloka, Naraloka, then Michilok, then this earthly plane. We're oscillating between all these different planes in the gross form, or in the Swagaloka, it's the subtle form. So this has been our experience. So when are we going to blow the whistle and just stop this? When am I going to be able to develop attraction for Krishna, simultaneously complete distaste for anything in this world? These two things. So that's the Das Mula, and we've gone over our time. And of course, there are so many more things to say in chapter 16, and I hope you will refresh it yourselves and have taken notes, because that's the easy way to refresh. You can just glance through your notes. Now, tomorrow, I want to begin on the Jivas free from Maya. This is a very liberating chapter. We've been bound in the 16th chapter. We're going to be liberated in the next chapter. In the next chapter, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to show us directly how to open the door. What are the symptoms of a liberated soul? And how does he manifest in this world? How do we go forward? So this is remarkable siddhants and teachings. They're so because Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the maidservant of Gadadhara Pndit. We say in his beautiful pranam mantra, Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchitananda Namne Gaura Shakti. Who is the Shakti of Gaura? It's Gadadhara. So he and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he disappears on the same day as Gadadhara Pndit. That's in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks' time. It's quite soon. The disappearance day of Gadadhara is the disappearance day of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is showing his affinity to Gadadhara by disappearing with great honor on the same day that he disappears. So we celebrate both of these personalities disappearing on the same day. That Gaura Shakti, that's the power of Swarup Shakti, is flowing through this personality of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So very potent personalities and tattvas and siddhantas to understand. So Gadadhara Pndit ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Please, all of you, take a few minutes for the rest of the day and read this Gadadhara Astakam. I only read the first 4 verses, but the last verses are just ecstatic. And if you have friends around that you can discuss these with, that's going to bring out even more of the jewels of Gadadhara's tattva and sweetness and beauty. So Gadadhara's avirbhava only happens once a year. So we're very fortunate that it's today, and we're trying to savor it as much as our capacity allows us. Shri Gadadhara Pndit ki jai, Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Go Premanandi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol. Gadadhara Pndit ki jai, Vaishnavas ki jai, Vanshakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavnivyo Vaishnave Namaha. Hare Krishna.